In my dragon-like desire to own every beautiful magical thing that's ever existed, I've somehow unintentionally created a situation where I'm drowning in decks. Tell me I'm not alone. So today, I'm rescuing my inner princess from my inner deck dragon. Don't worry, I'm not going full minimalist, could never be me. But I am going to be making space for the decks that I truly use and love. In this video, I'll show you how I'm decluttering my Tarot and Oracle deck collection with intention so that every deck can go on to live its best life, and I can too. Let's get into the cards.
So I have to be honest, I'm a little overwhelmed just laying all of these out, and I'm trying to kind of sort them by category. And I'm going to start filming and making decisions and things, but I just wanted to communicate that I am overwhelmed. That is all the stuff that I dumped out of. Those are books that I'm getting rid of that I dumped out of the pink chair you just saw me sitting in so that I could sit in it. Please don't judge me. So I feel like we have to start with the basket case. Now, the basket case, if you know anything about it, is you probably know it's not going anywhere. This is a mainstay of my collection. This might actually be my most used deck at this point in my life, which is kind of crazy. Sounds kind of crazy to me, but it might be true. It is a hodgepodge of cards from other decks, and some of them have been traded for, some of them have been carefully selected from decks that I broke up myself, and then some of them I just like got a deck and I was like, this is going straight into the basket case because otherwise I probably won't use it that much and I'd really like to use it. So that's what the basket case is. And I mentioned this in this decluttering video because even though I'm not decluttering it, I may be decluttering some decks or partial decks into the basket case, and that will count. So I mention this because some of the goals for this declutter are, one, to clear up some space in my deck collection. And as long as this basket's not going anywhere, there's a lot of space still in this basket. So if I can move a deck from like a shelf or drawer where I keep the rest of my collection into this basket, that does count as clearing out that space. So that's cool. Another one of my goals with this declutter is for decks that I really like, but that I don't necessarily reach for on their own to get used. And so if there is a deck that I really like it, or I really like some of the cards, but not all of them, and I just don't tend to reach for it on its own, or I don't really see much of a use case for it on its own, then I will either declutter the deck into here, or I'll declutter the cards that I do resonate with into here and do something else with the rest. So that is why I mentioned the basket case, and I'm now going to set this aside. All right, so I've kind of categorized these, and this deck is in a kind of like the basket case. It is in a class all its own. It is not a tarot deck. It is not an oracle deck. This is the this is the deck of 1,000 spreads, and apparently also some custom cards that I made for the deck of 1,000 spreads for a spread that I made and then forgot about. This is really cool. That's awesome. I should obviously look at this more. This goes for like so much now, which is crazy to me because I feel like they should have just kept it in print. It's so cool. It's so helpful for building spreads if you've never like built your own spreads before, or even if you're just kind of like tired and drawing a blank, but you want to do a reading and like you don't have a spread on hand that like works well for your question, you can just shuffle through here and be like, okay, heart of the situation, that would be a good thing to know for this goal. We got that. What to avoid, that's a great thing. No, those aren't really relevant to this question. Sure, friends and family might be relevant. And so then you can kind of look at like, what are the pieces that you want and put those all together. So there's that. Someone really should, like, this really should be back in print. And I do love this. And even though I could probably make a lot of money by selling it and I don't use it all that often, I really love using it. And frankly, I am somebody who would rather have something I like than make a lot of money on it and not have it anymore. But it's not even like a lot of money. I guess that's the thing, is that like even if I got a couple $100 for it, like a couple $100 goes so fast, guys. So this is staying. The Deck of 1,000 Spreads stays, and also these stay with it. Now, this is its own category. I have 5 Lenormand decks, and honestly, I think they're all staying. This one is really cool, and I have to be honest, guys, I don't use Lenormand that often, but I also just do enjoy collecting. This is not a traditional Lenormand because it does have all 52 playing cards, and so it has like 52 meanings. Like there's a fire for number 38, flames, like 51, the lion. Like those are not, usually a Lenormand is 36 cards, so these other 4 are all going to be 36 cards. But this is so cool, and I was thinking about not only keeping this, but actually, since it is from, what do we say, like 1903, I think. Yeah, 1903. I was thinking about actually scanning these in and making like a junk journal digital from these, or possibly even like reprinting them as a playing deck, or both. You know, there's options. We have options. But this is just so cool. I got this at a thrift shop and paid almost nothing for it, and it's just one of the coolest things I've ever found. So that stays. This one I love so much. Like I said, I don't read Lenormand a ton because really it is a fortune telling system, and I just don't do that much fortune telling. If you want to know why, I have a whole podcast episode about it, and I'll link that in the description below. But occasionally I find use for it, and also I just find it historically interesting. I find it historically interesting. I find it visually interesting. I find it symbolically interesting. And this one is, it's Pixies. It's Pamela Coleman Smith artwork that has been like taken. She never made a Lenormand deck, but she did a lot of other illustrations. She did the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And so somebody has gone through and pulled out digitally like pieces of a bunch of her other artworks and rehashed them into a Lenormand deck. And I just think that's the coolest thing. And I love the size and I love the backs. So she stays. This Lenormand is just a very classic vintage style Lenormand. It was huge. I trimmed it down and I added some copper ink to the edges. And I mean, yeah, I almost never use it, but I like it. I like it. I like it. Is that a bear? That's a bear. Here, let's do, I was doing some of these. I was doing readings like this for some of these earlier. So some of these I've already made decisions, and I'll just tell you the decision I made, but I didn't do one for this one. Am I meant to continue working with and owning this deck? Yes. No. Well, there we go. 4 outranks 2. So that'll be a yes. And sometimes that's, honestly, I've been doing that with a lot of these where I'm like, I want it, but I don't really have like a strong reason. And some of them have told me to let them go. So that stays. This one for sure stays. This one actually is my most used Lenormand, which is weird to me because I usually don't like this sort of like ultra smooth, it's not like hyper realistic. It's just like extra like shiny, smooth, realistic digital art. This sort of thing is really usually not my jam, but something about this, it's just really beautiful to me and I really love it. And I've always gotten good readings when I work with this one. So it stays. And that is the Gilded Reverie Lenormand by Ciro Marchetti. And then finally, we have the Green Glyphs Lenormand by James R. Eads. Does this even open? And these are some extra cards that you can switch out. This paper is so nice. This is another one where it's just like, I just don't use Lenormand that often, but I love this one. Oh, look at that bag. How nice is that? This is not a decluttering video so far. So far, this is a video where I'm trying to justify to you why I'm keeping all 5 of my Lenormand decks, even though I almost never do Lenormand readings. And I'm not really succeeding at justifying it, but I'm keeping them anyway. I just like them, okay? I just like them. I've already decided this one. I'm not deciding this one on screen. I've already made that decision. Okay, so the Lenormands, they all stay. And let's start with the Mayatol oracles. So we have here the Wild Wisdom Companion, the Illustrated Crystallary, the Illustrated Bestiary, and the Illustrated Herbiary. The only reason I have these books here, and these 2 are in bags, is because these ones are still being stored in the back of the book, which is really shameful. I actually really hate this storage method, and therefore I never use these. However, actually, I think these ones I still wouldn't really use as a standalone deck. I love this as a book. As a book, I think this is awesome. But my preference for how to use this is to like turn to the time of year that it is. Like for now, it's late spring. And to, you know, work through some of the late spring stuff or read some of the late spring stuff and kind of meditate on that and just spend time in whatever part of the book is the part of the year that we're in. And so to me, pulling cards that like reference parts of the year that we're not in, I can see how that would appeal to somebody, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And I can see how, like, you know, like say you're reading on a relationship. Okay, like your relationship could be in its late summer, even though it's late spring here. Or like your career could be in its early winter, you know, like I can see how that could be the case, but to me, it's just not something that like, I don't like it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't love it that way. So I think, however, that while I would not use this that way as a standalone deck, and I'm not really at a point in my life where I'm using altar cards, because these would be really great altar cards to just like put on display. I'm at a point in my life where I'm displaying a lot fewer things on surfaces because I have a little 1-year-old going around. So these I have already decided I'm going to put in the basket case. They've been put in the basket case now. And now this envelope can be removed. And now this book can just go back on my bookshelf. Okay, and so now we talk about these. This is a great tragedy in formats because the books, the cards that come with the books, and apparently also the cards that you buy separately. Okay, because I was just looking at like you can buy, okay, let me start from the beginning. The cards that come with the books, which this one was, that came like in the back of the book. Oh my freaking God. All right, I want to start out by saying I love these cards. I love these books. That's why I have all of them. I love her illustrations. I love the stuff that she puts together, that she writes, like the journal prompts and the ritual prompts. I think it's so cool what she's done. I think this is great. This is an embarrassment. These like pull apart cards, like why did your publisher do this to you? Why did your publisher do this to you? And I understand that they were pull apart and they came inside the book, and I'm sure it was a money-saving thing. But couldn't they have looked at these and been like, these are gorgeous. This is such a great idea. Witchcraft is trending. This is all on the up and up. These are going to be a huge seller. These are so beautiful. Let's invest in doing this properly. But they didn't. So when these first came out, they're like this, and it's just disgusting. And I was looking because the herbiary ones are like that. And the crystallary ones are like that, which I really need to get a bag for. Come on out. Do the backs all match or no? They totally don't. So the crystal ones are like that too. You can kind of see. And you can now get the herbiary in like a deluxe collectible edition. And you can get the bestiary in a deluxe collectible edition, which I did, the bestiary. I didn't get the herbiary deluxe edition because I already owned the herbiary because I bought it right when it first came out and I didn't want to have two. The bestiary deluxe comes with these beautiful, they're much larger, and they have these gorgeous gold edges. They're so beautiful. And this art is so beautiful, it really deserves to be in this larger format, although this smaller format is much easier to handle. And what I would really like, because honestly, like, I'm just less of an animal person and more of a crystal and plant person. Nothing against animals, that's just how I am. Is that, like, actually this one that is the nicest one in my collection is the one that I'm like least likely to reach for. What I would really truly love is if I could have this beautiful gold edged format in all three of them and then combine them all into one beautiful deck. Now I could combine my crystals and my herbs into one beautiful deck. And maybe I will do that here today. She says maybe as she does it, as she shuffles them together. Yeah, so that's what we're doing, I guess. And I guess I could, like, I could get rid of my deluxe bestiary and acquire a non-deluxe bestiary. I would just really rather have, like, not these, it's disgusting to me. I hate this. Not like literally disgusting. Just like, I'm embarrassed for your publisher, Maya Toll. You are such a brilliant artist. You are such a brilliant creator. And I cannot believe your publisher did this to you. And now, that's what I was going to say. The herbiary comes in a deluxe edition. The bestiary comes in a deluxe edition. The crystallary, as far as I can tell, has never come in a deluxe edition. So you cannot get all three decks like this. And you can get a box set of all three decks and books, but they don't, from what I saw in the picture, they have these pull-apart edges, which is ridiculous. That's embarrassing. By the time you're releasing a box, I get it when you're doing your first release of your first book, having it come in this like convenient, smaller packaging or whatever that you pull apart yourself. I don't understand by the time you're doing a collectible box set of all of the decks together, why you're still doing that. All that said, no, I'm not getting rid of these, okay? And maybe I should, no, maybe I should try and like, I don't know. Maya, can you and your publisher, who's your friggin' publisher? Story.com. Can y'all get it together? Politely. I just want all three to match, and I want them to not have these horrid pull apart edges. That's all I want. Okay, I'm done ranting. I am keeping these. Like I said, they're all friggin' gorgeous, and I don't want to just like, I'm not in a position to like buy more right now. So I could like trade or I could like sell to buy, but that's not on my, I can't get what I want anyway. I thought this would be faster if I made all the decisions off camera and then just explained them to you, but that rant was so long. That was such a long rant. All right, coming hot off the herbiary, let's talk plants and oils. And animals, I guess, too, on this one. So this one is animals and plants, Woodland Wardens. Each one has a plant and an animal. It's really lovely. There's one. It's really lovely. I trimmed it because it had really horrid white borders. Not just like borders, but like stark white borders. And like when everything, like the color scheme of the deck is clearly like warm, creamy white, like that, and then they had like white borders. It was bad, so I fixed it, and now it's smaller. But I just love this art. I think it's truly gorgeous, and it's not a bad deck either, so that stays. This one is one of the best decks I've ever worked with, and I think that the way that it works is so brilliant, and I've had some of the best readings ever with it. And the way that it works, just for the record, if you're not familiar with it, is there's one deck and then there's two guidebooks, And one of the guidebooks is the Dawn guidebook, and one of the guidebooks is the Dusk guidebook. And so the Dawn guidebook is more for like if you're looking for like advice about like doing stuff. And then the Dusk guidebook is like if you need more like healing, resting, relaxing advice. So I guess it's more like active, passive, or active, receptive, that sort of thing. And then the every card is in both guidebooks, and they are kind of separated into seasons, and they're just really, really beautiful art. And I love it so much, and I've just gotten like really, really great readings with it. It's one of those where it's like when I've read with it, it just tells me exactly what I need to hear at the time, and that's very cool, and I think it's very beautiful. So that one stays. These three also, I can't really bear to part with any of them. These are my 3 oil decks. And if you know me, I am the founder of Oil Coven. So I have a little online witchy coven formed all of people who are in my Young Living organization. And it's just so cool when you're hanging out with other witchy, oily people to get to use a tool like this. And all 3 of them really are quite different. This one is so fun. It has like, oh, look at those card backs. They're just gorgeous. And this one has like little people, not like little people, like people as like the spirit of the oil kind of represented. This one's just really fun. Oracle of Essences. This one I got used at half price. I was so surprised to see it there. I'd never heard of it before, and I had done like some research looking for oil themed decks. There's another one you can get from like Australia, but it's so expensive, so I haven't gotten it. And this is the Oil Affirmation Guide with beautiful little watercolors. It's got its own vibe, and all of these are like single botanical oils, so they work with any brand. Of course, I am a Young Living girly. But yeah, I just think these are really wonderful. And they can help if you're trying to like intuitively choose an oil or build a blend or whatever, either to draw them or just to kind of flip through them and be inspired. So I love those. I don't use them a ton on my own, but I love using them as like part of Oil Coven events and stuff. All right, this is embarrassing. I've hardly decluttered anything yet. The only thing I've done is I put the Maya Toll, like the Wheel of the Year ones, in my basket case. So let's look at these. So these are all my affirmation decks. So we have these 3, Secret Garden, Sea Melodies, and Whispering Woods. And then we have the Wild Offering Oracle. This is the Tao deck and book and card pack. We have Miracles Now. We have the 4 Agreements, and we have Louise Hay Wisdom cards. Okay, so I can tell you right now, I've already made these decisions off screen. These 2 and this one are all going into the basket case. This one I might like pick through. They might not all need to go in the basket case. In fact, all of them I'll pick through, and I'll see which cards I want to put in the basket case, because I might put some of them in my journaling area instead, or like send them off with journals or whatever. I don't know, something like that. But these are all going into the basket case. And that is because like this one is actually, I quite like all of the affirmations in this one. But especially because there's just not any art on it, I just don't tend to reach for it very much. And so I would rather have it in the basket case where I'm more likely to actually run into these cards. So I'll just drop that box in the basket case now. This one is like, I feel like by the time you're reaching for a 4 Agreements deck, you kind of already know what your problem is, or at least like you're already thinking about the 4 Agreements, and it's unlikely that pulling one card on the 4 Agreements is going to help you. But if you're not already in a headspace to be reaching for a 4 Agreements deck, it could really help you. So that's why I'm putting these, or at least a bunch of these, into the basket case, because then you'll run into them when you're not already thinking, I need the 4 Agreements. You're just thinking, I need advice. Okay. Same thing with the Tao book and card pack. This is just the card pack. I still have the book. And I think I will keep, I don't know if I'll keep the book or not. It's on my bookshelf right now. We don't have to talk about it. And this one, I am going to wrap it back up to put it in the basket case. But once again, I feel like by the time you're reaching for a Tao deck, one, like pretty much all of these are basically different forms of like the Tao, you know, so it's kind of like one card, many faces, if that makes sense. But on the other hand, like by the time you're reaching for a Tao deck to pull a card, don't you kind of already have the Tao wisdom somewhere in your head enough to be able to know what you need to do? So this one is also going to go in the basket case, but I will probably go through it and maybe pull some of the cards out for journaling. So that's why that goes there. The Wild Offering Oracle. This one is great. I love Katie Daisy. I love everything she's ever done. She's a fabulous artist. This one, nope, that's my imagination. Ignore me. They have the Ganesha back, and then they just have really, really gorgeous, they're kind of like affirmations. They're kind of like prayers. They're really great. Find just one thing that you feel grateful for right now and let that gratitude pour through your body. It's a healing balm like the warmth of the sun. And that's on gratitude. And these are all at least that good. These are great altar cards. And also I just love the butterfly in the box. It's so cute. This is one that like I would totally get another one of these just to be able to tuck these into journals. Oh no, I did it backwards. But not at this point in my life, because right now I'm not at a deck buying point in my life budget wise. She stays. All right, then we have the wisdom cards. I was originally leaning towards putting it in the basket case, and then I looked at it. I was looking through it, and I was like, actually, there's a lot going on here, and this is not like those other decks where like this one is, there's enough variety of ideas in here that you really could get a very different reading every time, which I feel is not really the case with the Tao deck or the Four Agreements deck. So this one is going to stay in the regular part of my collection a little while longer. She stays. And these three, despite the fact that I've literally just used this one in my email newsletter pick a card, and I reserve the right to pull them out and do that again. These are, there's just, because of like, they lack art. I mean, like, they're pretty, but I just feel like the art is such a big part of what makes Oracle and affirmation cards interesting to me. And we do have a lot of like repeated ideas again. So like, I think these were the three actually that I used in my newsletter reading. And there is nuance that separates these, but also you can kind of read all three of these as saying the same thing. Like, grow where you're planted, all flowers must grow through dirt, like bloom wherever you're planted, like live an uncontrolled life, free to grow anywhere and bound by nothing. Like, they're basically all saying like, you can't let your surroundings and your situation dictate how you live your life and whether or not you bloom. And that's cool. But I don't think we need to be getting like three cards that say the same thing from one deck. And also, I think they're really lovely sayings. So I think these would be really great for journals, for putting in junk journals. So I have decided to move all three of these to my junk journaling place. And you can kind of see they're all the same sort of thing. I think there's even like more of these. Why did I buy all of these? I don't know. I do like them as what they are. I just don't find that they're necessarily particularly useful in readings. And when I did them in my newsletter pick a card, it was like there was a tarot card and one of these for each number. Like if you picked left, middle, or right, you got one of these and you got a tarot card. So it did kind of help like add to the reading. Would I have done it with this on its own? Absolutely not. So these are going to the Imaginarium to be added to journals. And I do have a drawer in there with space in it where I keep cards specifically for use in journaling and collage. All right, this is just kind of a bunch of oracle decks. We have the Dreamscape. We have the Daily Crystal. We have the Wisdom of the Oracle. We have the Star Codes Astro Oracle. We have the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins. We have the Wisdom of Avalon. And we have Doreen Virtue Magical Unicorn cards. So I can tell you right now, this is my number one most used oracle deck. This is the one that I go to when I need it to tell me the truth. She stays. In my video, it's like, I've called it I changed the title a bunch of times, but it's like 16 things I wish I knew before I started reading tarot. When I talk about how like pretty cards aren't always good, and sometimes the best readings come from decks you don't even really like the art on, this is what I'm talking about. I don't love the art in this deck. I love mermaids, and that's why I bought it. And then it just turns out I don't really love the art in it. However, this deck speaks the fucking truth, okay? It looks so corny and kitschy, and like, if I had never read with it and I was decluttering right now, I'd be like, yeah, I like mermaids, but I think this one has to go. But having read with it, I can tell you, this deck speaks the friggin' truth, man. And your mileage may vary. Like, not everyone may have the same experience with this deck, but I cannot get rid of this one. And so she stays. And then the other day, I was doing one of those yes-nos with this one, okay? I was trying to do one of those little, like, yes, no, should you stay or should you go? And before I could even do that, I got 2 jumpers. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll read it as the yes, no. Well, it turns out these cards don't even have numbers, so I wouldn't really have been able to do a yes, no reading with them. But it literally pushed out exercise and water. And I can't find the water card now. It got lost somewhere between my library and here, which is very upsetting because I need those cards like on my fridge right now. That is what I need in my life. And it's another one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not really a unicorn galley. This art is gorgeous. Based on the art alone, I love this deck. That's the cover of one of my favorite fairy tale anthologies of all time. I love this art. I really do. So you know, if that was why I was like, okay, I love the art, but I'm not really a unicorn galley. And it is kind of like a kitschy, corny, cheesy, light, fluffy, you know, fluffy bunny kind of deck. You think until you get 2 jumpers, and it's like, it felt like I was like, okay, I am going to ask you if we're meant to keep working together, and let's pull a card. And then the deck was like, we don't have time to talk about this. Here's what I need to tell you. You need to get your shit together, and fast. That's how it felt. So she stays. All right. Now, this one, this is Matt Hughes. I love Matt Hughes. His art, I love it. He did the Ethereal Visions Tarot, which is one of my favorite tarot decks of all time. And he's done this Oracle deck, which is really, really lovely. However, for me personally, like this is a deck where like half the cards in it, if I just drew it, like if I drew that for a reading, I'd be like, I don't fucking know what that's trying to say. And I would have to go to the book. And for me personally, I don't love a reading where I have to go to the book. I much prefer to be able to like at least get the gist of it intuitively. And then, you know, if I want to go to the book for more information, I like to be able to read the cards. And this is where like, okay, like if I drew that, and that, because I have like personal associations with the sea turtle. So if I drew the silence, the sea turtle, the scales, that I could read intuitively. But the fish, the selkie, the octopus, that I could not read intuitively. So what I'm thinking of doing is breaking this up and putting like half of these in my basket case. So like the scales I would put in the basket case. I might put the sea turtle in the basket case. I'd probably put the silence in the basket case. Harpy eagle, like the spring I would probably put in the basket case. The tiger, probably, like things that animals that I have personal associations with, I would put in the basket case. Animals that I don't, like I might either, I don't know if these are standard size or not, so I might offer to trade them in the alley, or I might just add them to journals. Like I'm still trying to put together some mermaid themed journals, so these could be really good for that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break this deck up. Some of it will go into the basket case, some of it will not. And I love your artwork, Matt Hughes, but as a deck, it just doesn't do it for me personally as a whole. And I'm sure there are lots of people who love this deck, and lots of people, like if you have much more of a connection with animals, you would probably do better with this deck. But for me, I just don't like know enough about or feel connected enough to a lot of those different animals and things that are represented in this deck, that for me it's just not intuitive to read a lot of the cards. But a lot of the cards are, so that's why I want to break it up. That's what the basket case is for. This one, I was debating breaking it up, and I did a yes no of like, are we meant to keep working together? And is this what we got? I definitely got the spider, but I don't remember getting the dragon. I don't know. It was definitely a yes, which makes me think it was not these two. Maybe it was, and maybe it was like this, because those were on the top. Because it was definitely a yes, so the higher one would have been on the left. And I remember the spider saying like creative project, and thinking that like, okay, like maybe I should keep this in my Imaginarium and use it to inspire me when I am journaling. But not like actually use the cards in journals, but just use it as inspiration in there. I do keep a couple decks in there, because actually that's where I tended to do most of my readings these days. But also I don't want to have it just like crowded with decks in there, because it's crowded with paper and glue in there and paint and stuff. This one I've literally never used it. I think I actually bought it either for the basket case or for journaling. And I think I'm going to use it for journaling. I had got the Moonology deck. And I forget even why, like I got that one to break up, but I don't even remember what I originally planned to use it for. But I ended up using those cards in my journal this past year, putting like the full moon in Leo card on the page where I had done my full moon in Leo tarot reading. And that was really, I just really liked having that visual indicator there. And this is one of those things where I think like I will probably put this in like an Aries season section of my journal. So I think a lot of these I will end up putting in a journal. And then some of these other ones I may add to the basket case. So I will just send this deck. This one is, I don't know, it's weird to me. I'm not really an astrology girly, but even when I am feeling astrology, I feel like you look at the stars, not like the cards. It's kind of, I feel the same way about this that I feel about the Maya Toll Wheel of the Year deck. What's it actually called? Because it's not called Wheel of the Year. Wild Wisdom Companion, but it's the Wheel of the Year. Is that like why would I pull a card? Like what do I do if I get like Aries retrograde cards? And like I'm sure that like act and review, like that makes sense as a reading, but to me I'm just looking at it and I'm seeing Aries retrograde. 1, Aries doesn't go retrograde. Aries is a sign, not a planet. 2, like, you know, like what if you drew like Mars retrograde, but it's not Mars retrograde? And like maybe it's saying, okay, you personally should act right now like Mars is retrograde. But I don't know. Anyhow, that's my 2 cents on this deck. It's literally still in order because I've never used it. It's going to the Imaginarium to be broken up. This one, however, This one I quite like. I love, this one has really clear photos of the crystals. If nothing else, it's useful for like learning crystals. But yeah, it has really clear photos, and then it has the crystal's name, and then it has one really short piece of advice. And I love this format, and I think I will include these very soon in one of my pick-a-cards in my email newsletter. So if you like playing pick-a-card readings and getting like little mini readings in your email inbox, go ahead and sign up for my newsletter, because I'm going to do that twice a month now. Around the full moon and the new moon is kind of what I'm thinking. And yeah, I really like this one. So this one, yeah, I like it because it's got the advice right there on the card. You don't have to you don't have to open the book to know what it's saying, but then you can open the book to go deeper with it. And that is what I like in an oracle deck. So these aren't really themed either. We have the Extraordinary Oracle, the Original Life Design cards, and the Moon deck. If you ever used to come to Morning Ritual when I did my like morning Instagram live streams where I would pull cards and talk about it and stuff, I used the Moon deck all the time. And I have almost not used it since then. However, I still really like it. And I would like to get back into part of why I'm starting these pick-a-card things in my newsletter is because I kind of want to get back to doing something sort of like Morning Ritual. But I also think that like pulling cards every single day is not actually the most healthy thing to do. I don't think it's the most like spiritually or I don't think it's the like healthiest thing to do personally. And then also like I'm trying to live a balanced life here with a baby and a house and trying to like figure out how to create some income and stuff, and like doing entire readings for the collective every single day is not really what I'm about at this stage in my life. But doing little mini pick-a-card readings in an email newsletter twice a month sounds very aligned with where I am right now, and sounds a lot more spiritually healthy than doing readings every single day for the collective. And if you want readings from me more often, you can always book a session with me. That had very little to do with the Moon deck. That was just like nostalgia and my life. But maybe that explained to you why I'm keeping the Moon deck. The Original Life Design cards, I was originally thinking, these are permaculture inspired. Very cool. And I was originally thinking to include these in the basket case because I haven't really reached for them since I got them. But what you have to understand is that I stopped using cards all that often before I stopped buying cards all that often. Because probably when I really kind of like slowed down my using of cards like a lot is when I got pregnant the second time with my baby that I have. And I miscarried my first pregnancy. I don't have two babies. And so I was still like buying decks and kickstarting decks and stuff when I really did not have the energy to do any of that. And then I moved, and then I was in late pregnancy and didn't have the energy again. And I was also trying to like get my house in order from the move for the baby, which I don't know that I ever really did. And now my baby is a year old, and I still am like just barely getting to a point where I have time in my life to do this sort of thing. And as I was looking through it, I thought, actually, this would be a really cool deck to use specifically for communicating with the land that I live on. And I think that they're really beautiful. And actually the tarot deck by this same person is the deck that I used in my last email newsletter. So that's the thing, that's the textured tarot, and maybe we'll look at that soon. So this is just, it's very fun. It's very cool art. And I was kind of thinking like, oh, maybe I should put it in the basket case. And then as I got it out and I really started to play with it, here's a custom card just for me. I was like, you know, maybe this would actually be really good for specifically communicating with the land that I live on. And I did like a little reading and it went well, just to kind of like affirm that decision or like see if that was really a good idea. And it felt good. So this stays. And that is my plan for it. And the Extraordinary Oracle was another one that this one I really, really loved because I am so big on the whole idea of like there is magic in the everyday. And as much as I love like the aesthetic of witchcraft and magic and fantasy and stuff, I don't believe that things need to be like aesthetically magical or witchy or whatever to be actually magical. And I mean, obviously this is a very beautiful deck, but it's very much about the mundane. Like here we have a pill bottle, you know, we have a sparkler, we have a bed, we have some fridge magnets, some keys, and I really just like this concept. I don't really use it all that often. I used it a lot when I first got it. And I was really considering getting rid of it. And I did a little reading with it. And I don't even remember what it was. But I do remember that it touched me and it made me feel like I should actually hold on to it for at least a little while longer. So I'm holding on to it. Like I said, I'm not getting rid of a ton. But I want to go through everything and just make sure that I love what I am keeping. And that if I have things, which I have already found some, that are just like taking up space in places where they don't need to be, I want to put them somewhere where they can live their best life. Okay. These are all kind of like loosely goddess themed, I guess. Mystic Sisters, I don't know if I would specifically say it's goddess themed, but it kind of is. I mean, the 3 cards on the back of the box are literally Aphrodite, Dragonfly Goddess, and Sage Goddess. This one, now Emily Balave is one of my favorite artists, alive or dead. She is alive, which is very cool. But I just love her art so much. However, as an oracle deck, I haven't really found that I like resonate with this or that I get very good readings from it. And I'm not sure if that's like an alignment thing or if it's just like a not every artist needs to turn their art into an oracle deck. I feel like there could have been, I don't know, like the paper is so beautiful. There's a lot here that I really love, but when I've used it as an oracle deck, I do feel like the readings I get from it are a little like unsatisfying. Like they don't seem to really, a lot of the answers or the meanings seem like so specific that they don't necessarily make sense as answers to a lot of questions. And maybe this is just a problem with my connection with the deck, but my temptation here, and I think this is what I am going to do, is to break this one up and to put some of it in my, probably most of it will go to my journaling area, to the Imaginarium where I can journal with them. But then some of them I will probably put in the basket case. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. In fact, I will just pop that into the basket case right now. Kind of same, but different for this one. This one, I literally was going to sell it because it's actually, I think it's out of print and it doesn't go for like a lot, but I think it goes for like 40, 45 right now. Unfortunately, it's an 80 card deck and I triple counted and I only have 79 cards. So I think I'm going to pick out, I already like set them aside because they're all here at the front. The goddesses that I like really like love the art and the message and everything, and put those in my journaling area. And then I will probably put the rest of these, I think they're standard size. I could be wrong. But I'll probably put the rest of these up for trade or in mystery envelopes in the alley. If you're not familiar with the alley, I talk about this in my basket case deck video. I have a video called like What on Earth is the Basket Case Deck? The alley is a place on the internet, on Facebook, where you can go to trade cards. You can go to trade tarot and oracle cards with other people, or to buy and sell individual cards or mystery envelopes or whatever, to build your own hodgepodge magpie alley style decks. That's the short explanation. If you want the long explanation, go watch the other video. So I'm going to pop this one in the basket case because that's just where I'm putting all the ones that I'm breaking up. This one, unlike all of those other goddess oracles, when I looked through this one the other day, I actually thought this is a pretty good deck. Because for each one, you have the goddess, you have like one nice little keyword, and then you have like a little affirmation or like phrase of encouragement or whatever. There's no numbers on this one, so I can't really do a yes/no reading with it. But when I just looked through it, I was like, I don't think I need to do a little reading with it. I think I'm actually going to keep this one as it is. And I got this one kind of towards the end of when I was doing morning ritual, when I was doing oracle readings a lot, and I just kind of stopped using oracle decks for a while after that. I just kind of had like overdosed on it. But going through these, I'm really excited to work with them a couple times. I may adjust my decision after I work with it a couple times, but right now I'm leaning towards I likey, she stays. Now this one stays. This one has the same problem that a lot of the other cards that I'm putting in the basket case have, in that like by the time you're turning to Guan Yin for answers, you kind of already know what you need to do. But I actually work with Guan Yin as like a spirit, as an entity. And I have found this to be helpful for connecting with her as a spirit when I am working with her. So I don't really go to this deck for like standard general oracle readings or whatever. But man, it's just so gorgeous. And I do go to this when I am specifically communicating with Guan Yin. And we can do a little yes/no here just to affirm my decision to keep it. Why not? I believe it'll say yes because I believe in these things. So let's see. Should I keep you? Yes. No. 25, 14. 25 outranks 14 and 25 is on the yes side. So yeah, and the immortal is almost feels like it says like sacred and immortal. Like it feels like it's saying like immortal, like always, forever, keep it. Yep. So there you go. And you can see my little yes/no spread in action here. So she stays. She does have a very specific use case. And for something like this, I think that's okay. Okay. Here we have the Fairies Oracle and the Heart of Fairy Oracle. This is the deck here. And honestly, I could get a lot of money if I sold the Heart of Fairy. Not this one. This one I think is still in print. But this one, for some reason, is out of print. And it's worth a lot. But when I pulled a card the other day to see if I should work with it, I pulled these three. And I'm not really totally sure what all it means, but what I do know is that my beautiful little 1-year-old baby, who actually looks a lot like this, has been asking me, well, she's been asking about everything in this house. She doesn't really have the words to do it, but she'll point and be like, "J, j, j." Like, what's this? What's that? It almost sounds like she's saying, "Jishishima." I'm like, you sound like you're speaking Chinese. But she'll just be like, "J, j." Shit. It really sounds like she's speaking Chinese and asking, "What is this?" But I think she's just speaking baby and asking, "What is this?" But one of the things that she's been asking about over and over and over is the owls. I have like a stuffed owl hanging over my nightstand in the bedroom, and I have an owl lamp, and she points at the owl a lot and asks what it is. And just like that having been happening, and then getting the Queen of Owls and the child together made me feel like it was in tune with what was going on. And I'm pretty sure I did a yes, no. And it's just so beautiful. And it's nostalgic. If you go back, like one of my first ever, like the second or third video on this channel ever was my unboxing and first impressions of the Heart of Fairy Oracle. And I think I was actually kind of like disappointed in it and confused by it back then. But it's really grown on me and I quite like it now. So, I don't know. I may decide to part with this at some point, but I just don't want to. For now, she stays. I may reconsider in the future. All right, it has literally been a week since the last frame of this video that I shot, and we're gonna pick up where we left off, and this is the last stack of Oracle decks. So after this, it's all tarot. So, and I'm missing one. I think I told you at the beginning of the video, I'm missing one, and I wondered if I was hallucinating and if I had just like imagined that I bought it, because it's by the same artist as this one, and it's like runes and animals. But I just today, I was using the Picnic app to go through like my old photos and delete some. And I had a picture of it like on this day a couple of years ago, the cards that I had drawn from it when I first got it. So I know that I got the deck and I have not a clue in the world where it is. But when I find it, I'm 100% keeping it. And I'm gonna cherish it forever. Okay, and try not to lose it again. And hopefully it'll be easier to not lose it because I'll have fewer decks to keep track of now that I'm done decluttering. Okay, this is the Crystal Ball Oracle by, who are these by? The White Witch Oracle. It's like a UK creator, which is why I had like never bought these before. And then she did the Unfolding Path Tarot, and I got these as like add-ons when I got the Unfolding Path Tarot. I think I'm thinking of the same person, but I really love these. This is kind of like a Magic 8 Ball, if a Magic 8 Ball were a deck and were aesthetically gorgeous. So it's just kind of like some simple yes or no kind of things. And truth be told, I do not use it very much, but it's so small and so cute and so fun, and I just really like it. And I'm allowed to keep things just because I like them, okay? The end. You stay. Ooh, that was a nice toss. All right, this is a rune deck, and it is playing cards, but the way it works out, there's 24 runes, plus, I guess the aces are not runes. And then other than that, there's just a red one and a black one of each rune. And the aces are these other things. This says spade. Apparently I think I maybe had another one of these. Maybe I gave away the one I had used, because I've definitely used this before. This one says diamond. But the other ones are the rune. Hagalaz, Naldis, Isa, Yera. Anyhow. All right. Anyhow, this is cool. I like it. So basically what I was trying to say is that there are 2 of each rune in this deck, and then the aces are non-runes, and then I guess these are jokers. So it does work out pretty evenly. And I just thought that was really cool. And you're kind of supposed to use it as playing cards, but I ain't gonna be doing that. Although it could be fun to use it as like, well, not really. I was gonna say like combination playing card divination and rune divination, but like the same rune and the same playing cards are always gonna go together. So I don't actually think it's that interesting. But, you know, do what you want to do. Okay, this one I have almost gotten rid of so many times, and I think this is the time that I do it. I think it has been in my collection long enough. The truth is that, like, I used to be so into the macabre, and honestly, like, I used to be very much like anyone who is like all love and light is totally bullshit, and like you really have to acknowledge the darkness, blah 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 blah. And I think that is to a certain extent true, but I think that acknowledging the darkness and inviting the darkness are 2 different things. Like, it's one thing to be like, I acknowledge the shadow side of all things, and I honor the shadow side of all things, and I honor death as a part of the natural cycle of life. And it's another thing to be like decorating your house with tons of skulls and bones and just like inviting that energy into your life all the time. And like, I say this having been that person and just having felt that when my house was more full, because I do still have like some skulls and stuff, but like when my house was more full of that sort of thing and like dead flowers and stuff all over the place, the energy in my life was also more dead and dark and sad. And so I always just liked this because it's like fun if you're into that sort of thing. It is not like, I don't think there's a way that you can like read with this seriously. Here's a little peep of the meanings. So I don't know what this goes for on the used market, but I am actually going to see if I can sell my Edward Gorey Fantod pack. Is that the first one that I'm saying I'm selling? I think that's the first one I'm saying I'm selling. Congratulations, me. Good job. Okay. This one, obviously I'm not getting rid of this because this was a gift and it's handmade. These are handmade oracle cards that one of my friends from Oil Coven made for me for, I think it was the first ever Coven Lovin' gift exchange. Sometimes we do like a Valentine's Day kind of Secret Santa, witchy Secret Santa kind of thing. Just kind of loving on your Coven sisters, and it's so fun. And this is what my partner made, my Coven loving sister made for me that first year, and they're just so beautiful. I do tend to use these more like altar focus cards than like oracle cards, but these will stay with me forever. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, you stay. These are going back to the Imaginarium, I can tell you right now. These are, I didn't even like know I had these until I was going through my drawer and I was like, ooh, what's in this box? A bunch of things that I was like intending to make into affirmation cards and then didn't, except for there's a couple on this end that I did, and they look really terrible, honestly. Like, the paper was not working with these Dilutions ink sprays very well. It was like feathering a lot. And then my lettering is just like bad because my black ink is just too thick for it to be nice. And, I will find some way to incorporate these papers into junk journaling or something somehow. But these are going into my craft stash as distinct from my card stash. However, I might want to like line this box with a nice paper and use this as a deck box. This used to have like a Chinese name stamp and ink that my dad brought me back from China when I was a little girl. My dad used to travel for, well, he still travels for work a lot, but I used to be a little girl and he used to bring me souvenirs from his travels. And so one time he brought me a Chinese name stamp and ink, and it came in this box. And I think I probably still have those somewhere, but not in this box. Okay. This one is so fun, and I'm keeping it because it's fun, and that's all there is to it, okay? It's good witches, it's bad witches, and actually this one has a good yes or no spread. I already did it, so this one doesn't count, but for example, if I were to do like, should I keep this deck? 1, 2, 3. We have 2 good witches. You can tell just based on the colors. Actually, Fire Witch might be a good witch too, because I think the bad ones, the banner is red. Yeah. So we actually have 3 good witches, which means, yes, obviously I should keep this deck. If you get like 2 good ones, it's a yes. If you get 2 bad ones, it's a no. They're all good witches and bad witches. That's why it's the good witch, bad witch, oracle. And then each one also has like a spell with it. It's just really fun. You can pause that if you want to look at it. Yeah, that's all there is to it. I really like the art. It's fun. It's cute. Do I take it seriously? No, but I could someday. And I just like it. I just like it. This is like a sleepover deck, you know? This is like a deck you get out when you're hanging with your girls, which I choose to believe I will someday get to do that again. All right. This one is going. This is one of those things where it's like, I was talking about this in my like 16 tarot truths video that I've renamed a billion times, so I don't know what it's called now, but I'll link it below, about how like, you know, there's things that I like or that I think are cool that aren't actually like my style or that don't actually resonate with me. And Alex Grey is in that category. And so when I found this set of Alex Grey cards, I thought, wow, I thought, wow, like this is so cool. And these are a great deal. It was at Half Price Books. It really was a good deal. I will get these because these are cool. And I think that Alex Grey is cool. And I didn't really stop to question, like, is this really like aligned with me and who I am? And the truth is, I've never, like, I don't get them. I don't understand these. They're for someone else. They are cool. I'm sure they're cool, but they're for someone else. So they are also going to be, I'm going to find out what those go for on the used market and get rid of them. Same with this one, kind of. It's not as weird, but it is like a very specialized, this is the Camelot Oracle, and there is like a very specialized way that you're supposed to use it. And this one, I think actually that I looked this one up, and it is like still available new, so it's not really, there's not really a strong used market for it. And so, because the art is so cool, I might actually like dissect it. Like I might, there's some really cool cards that I would like to have in the basket case. And then maybe the rest I could put in the alley. Yeah, so I'll probably split this deck up actually, because it's really not worth much at all on the used market, and that would be fun. And then I wouldn't have to have this deck sitting totally unused in my collection anymore. I can keep the cards that I like and get rid of the cards that I don't need. The end. Okay, so this one will go over here with, oh, I was gonna put it in the basket case. That's where I'm putting the ones I'm breaking up. Okay, and then this is our last oracle, if you can call it that. It is an oracle. It's not exactly an oracle deck. It's very cool. This is another one where it's like, I don't know how seriously I take this. Like, I don't know that I've ever necessarily gotten a great reading with this, but I just think it's such a cool concept. So it's got these 3 dice in these 3 different colors. This is the Goddess Guide Me Oracle by Amy Zerner and Monty Farber. I hope that's how you say them. They also did, I guess it says the Alchemist, the Enchanted Tarot, and Karma cards. I'm not familiar with the Alchemist and Karma cards. I am familiar with the Enchanted Tarot. That one has been on my wish list for a long time. It's the same sort of like fiber art style that this is. But okay, let's waste no time. So you roll the dice, and then you've got my head, my heart, my home. And so we got a 7 on the pink one. So we go to 7 over here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, Taiyuan, Goddess of Duality. And then for the heart, we got 8. So we go to 8, Hecate, or Hecate. It just says Hecate. There's no E on the end here. So, whatever. And then 11 on the home one. That's 9, 10, 11, Atlantia. So then you have this, like, you've like built this custom goddess from your dice rolls. Your dice rolls. Die rolls, dice roll of the die. It was 1 roll of multiple dice. You decide what that is grammatically. Anyhow, and then it's got, you know, it talks about stuff. Again, you can like pause this if you want to read it, but I'm just going to move on. I just think it's too cool. I just think it's too cool to part with. That's the true reality of the situation. Cannot part with, too cool. Honestly, don't really use. Sorry, it's the truth. Okay. Some decks I keep because I love to use them. Some decks I keep because I love to look at them and I think they're really cool, and I am a collector and I love art, okay? And I'm allowed to do that. Okay, I did kind of put these into categories, the tarot decks, but I didn't do a very good job of it. It was very difficult to do. And I'm just going to go based on the piles that they're in right now. I don't really know how they're sorted. This is not in a pile. It's close to me. I bought 2 copies of this for $50, which is great. And I opened one and I split it up and put it like in my basket case and some other places. I don't think I actually ended up trading any of those away. So if I decided that I really wanted to, I could piece back together the deck that I have open. And this one is unopened and in the plastic. And I decided that it's a little dark for me. Like I love the art, okay? It's gorgeous. But kind of like, you know, it's not like as ridiculously macabre as the Fantod pack. But it is just a little darker than I feel like I would reach for doing readings either for myself or professionally in like 99 cases out of 100. So, I happened to I was looking up a bunch of the decks that I was thinking about getting rid of, and I happened to see that this one, there's like an opened, damaged copy of this currently on eBay that has 3 bids and is at over $200. So I think I have a sacred duty to sell this and part with it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell my Blood Moon Tarot. And we'll just sneak ahead to the bottom of this pile because this is the same story. I bought 2 of these off of the Kickstarter because I just think the art is so cool. And I split it up and I have a bunch of them in my basket case and a couple of them in some other places. And then I have a bunch available for trade still from my split deck. And then I have this one that I thought I was going to want to keep as a standalone deck. And I hate to say this, and this is not like a judgment on other people. Some, like anyone who chooses to keep this deck, this is not a judgment on you. This is just my feelings about this deck and what I'm choosing to do with it. And this does not apply to all the cards. Like, this is a gorgeous card. And I have kept a lot of the cards that I absolutely love from my other split deck. But some of these cards, in fact, a lot of the cards in this deck, just feel like, honestly, like the energy feels a little demonic to me. And like this one. And I don't know, again, like no judgment on people who do really resonate with this deck. But to me, the energy feels a little dark, a little off. I feel like I've only shown you like one card so far that feels that way to me. But I promise you, there's a lot more of the deck that is just like, I probably like split it up and put like all the ones that I really like on this end. Let's see. Yeah, like weird. I don't know. Yeah, here, I mean, the devil's always. The star especially. Like, I feel like the star should be like the most wholesome of all cards. This does not feel wholesome to me. So I feel like it is the right thing to do for me personally to get rid of this. However, this one, it's actually not a good time to sell because it will never be printed again. It's out of print. The artist has said they're never printing it again. It's permanently sold out. But there are actually still a couple retailers that have it at the original price. So I think that actually the smart move to do with this one is to hold on to it for a while and sell it a couple years down the line when I can make a little more on it. So I hope I don't sound predatory. I mean, I did like buy it because I thought I wanted it, but now I have basically no consistent income. So if I can sell something and make money off of it, that really helps me. So I think in the past, well, actually in the past, I would have just been like, oh, even if I don't totally love it, I'll just keep it because it's cool. But now I'm like, you know, if I don't totally love it and it's worth something, I should try and get something for it. So this is Zeke's Arcana. I did not say that, but it is Zeke's Arcana, and I am going to sell this one, but I'm not going to sell it yet. And I also have the stickers that go with it. So I think I can find those to sell those as well. Okay, the Muse Tarot. This is very sad because when I was filming that initial shot that wasn't even as cool as I thought it was going to be, I dropped my basket case on top of my big stack of decks because I thought that was going to be a cool shot, and it wasn't. But it knocked I thought it was going to knock a bunch of decks off the table, and it only knocked a couple off the table, and it knocked this one, and it broke the lid. So I had to go reinforce the lid. This is the Kickstarter edition of this deck, and this is one of my most used decks. This is the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann. And I do have the full size print on demand book that she had with it originally. It has the original coral edges, the original beautiful paper, none of that Hay House crap. Sorry, Hay House, love you, but and this is just one of the most beautiful decks I've ever seen, and one of the most readable decks I've ever seen. And it has maybe the best guidebook I've ever seen. It's up there with the Moonchild Tarot. But I just love this deck. It's done great readings for me, and it's done great readings for some of my clients. She stays forever and always. Okay, the Good Tarot. I love this one too. I don't use this one nearly as often as I could, just because I probably don't read nearly as often as I could. But I wanted this for a long time, and now I have it, and I do love it. I do think it's a very good deck. It's a little lighter. It's a little more easygoing than a lot of my other decks, but it's still, it's easygoing and lighter without being shallow. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, look at that saturation. Just stunning. And I do like that it's the elements as the suits, and the air suit in this feels very Odinic to me. And yeah, I like this one. She Stays, The Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reid. Is this a Hay House one? Because I was just talking shit about the Hay House paper. Hello? It is Hay House. Yeah, the paper is shit. And they are uncomfortably large, but they're gorgeous, so I can forgive them for that. And it's a good deck. It reads well. That's not all gorgeous decks read well, but this one does, at least for me. So She Stays. Okay. Now this one, despite being rather non-traditional, was actually my main working deck for a really long time. I customized the edges. I inked the edges by suit and majors, but it doesn't really spoil the reading, I don't feel. This is the Chrysalis Tarot. And I got the Tuck Box edition before it came with a big guidebook. And then I later got the big guidebook, and I don't really ever use the big guidebook. I don't really feel like it needs it. And I do feel like I had trouble with this deck for a long time because I don't feel like it's necessarily super Rider-Waite coded. Like there's some cards that do feel Rider-Waite coded, and there's some cards that don't. And I really learned on the Rider-Waite. So when something is not Rider-Waite coded, it can be harder for me to read. But this was the deck that kind of taught me to, okay, ignore what you think you already know about what a card means based on what it's called, and just look at the card and tell me what you get from looking at the card. And then combine that with what you know about what the card is supposed to mean. And so for a long time, I was able to, this is like the deck where I feel like I learned to read intuitively. Like my original Rider-Waite is the deck where I learned to read classically. This is the deck where I learned to read intuitively. And I don't use her as often as I did when I only had 4 tarot decks, obviously, but I do absolutely love her. And Holly Sierra is just one of my favorite artists. I would put her art all over my walls if I could afford to, and maybe someday I will. She Stays. This one was a quite recent gift from a friend/client, and I am ashamed to say that I have not been able to spend a whole lot of time with it. This is the Medicine Women Tarot, and she got me the wonderful book as well. But it is just, it's really beautiful. and I absolutely trust the woman who picked it out to pick out good things. And I have sat with it like a little bit, enough to be like, yes, I'm keeping this. I will enjoy working with this, but not enough to be able to like give it a proper review or really say much about it. But I love how it has, like, this is a major, it's traditionally strength, and then it's called healing, but it says both of those things on it. And then like here we have, oh no, maybe it is just the majors that do that. Sun, rebirth. Like, I just think that's really cool how it has both of those on there. I think it's really beautiful, and I'm excited to get to spend more time with it. So that stays. Here we have, I was actually debating getting rid of this one because I don't use it for myself really. It's not that I don't like it, it's just there's so many other decks that I tend to reach for when I'm reading for myself. However, this one is Rider-Waite coded, which makes it very easy to read for me, and also very easy to like explain to clients. And it's so diverse, and because of just like the whole philosophy of the deck and its design makes it really approachable for client readings. But yeah, I think it's really approachable for client readings, and so I'm keeping it for that, and also because I like it. And the Ten of Swords in this one is absolutely iconic. I got an extra Ten of Swords because I guess, did I kickstart this? I don't remember this being on Kickstarter. That's crazy that I was talking about the Ten of Swords and it just opened to the Ten of Swords. But it came with an extra one that says it's fine, or everything's fine. I don't know if that just like comes with all the decks, or if I kickstarted. I think I kickstarted this because I think I got a pin too. Yeah, I have a tin that this came in. Okay, anyhow, or pre-ordered or something. I don't know. Anyhow, the everything is fine Ten of Swords is in my basket case. But it's classic. I feel like it's great. She stays, okay? I could continue to justify why I'm keeping her, but I don't need to do that. All you need to know is that I'm keeping her. And then we have the Textured Tarot. I think I told you about that permaculture oracle. I don't know what it's called. Original Life Design Cards by Lisa McLaughlin. This one, same artist. Just gorgeous art. And textured really is the right word for it. Just really beautiful. And I would like to use this more. This is another one that I acquired like right after, around when I got pregnant and moved house, and my whole life was turned upside down and changed and everything. So I forgive myself for not having used this one very much since then, because I just haven't used anything very much since then. If I judged what I should keep based on what I've used since I got pregnant, I would keep like almost nothing. And that's not how I'm playing this game. So this is the Textured Tarot. I think she's absolutely lovely. And there she is. She stays. Now this one, despite being a recent addition, this was a gift to me. I have actually used quite a bit since I got it. This was a gift from my friend Katie at Katie Sees Tarot, Katie Sees Cards. She also has a channel on here. And I hate so much that my white dress is reflecting on this table. So I'm so sorry, guys, okay? I'm not gonna go change just because of that. But I just want you to know I hate it. If you hate it too, I'm sorry, okay? This is the Tarot of Mystical Moments. It's super me coded, honestly. Just like, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, just gorgeous. Do I need to say anything else? When I did do like an interview spread with this deck, and it was basically like told me that this deck was here to do like the thing that we were supposed to work together on was all like home and family stuff. Home, family, children, marriage, relationships, friendships, that sort of thing. Which is kind of like a huge chunk of my life. But yeah, so I've used her a lot since I acquired her. And I even made her a deck bag. This was like one of the first things that I crocheted. This might be the first thing that I crocheted that wasn't just like a square. It's still basically just like a square, but it's a little more than a square. And I feel like it's like a lemon, which is appropriate because lemons have a lot to do with love and friendship and happiness. And if you want to know more about lemons and love and friendship and happiness, you should go read my blog post all about the magical properties of lemon and lemon essential oil, because I talk about that. Okay, so that one obviously stays. Obviously. All right, let's grab a stack here. I guess this was like small decks. This one I got because my husband used to make fun of how much stuff was on my keychain. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to carry this joke further. I'm going to put more stuff on my keychain. I'm going to, like, everything that I can find a way to put on my keychain that actually is like on brand for me, I'm going to put on my keychain. And this is actually my second one of these, because my first one, even though I had a rubber band around it, at some point the rubber band disintegrated and the box split open and I lost all of the cards. And I have never seen any of them again since then. So this one I have kept in my purse for a long time, but I have been too scared to put it back on my keychain. I feel like I need to, I guess that's why I had it with this, is because I felt like maybe if I like did this up and tied this shut, then I could carry it on my keychain like that. So maybe I will do that. It's actually highly impractical for reading on the go because you really can only read it somewhere where there is absolutely no wind. These things are teeny tiny. I mean, it's in the name, but they are actually like impressively high resolution, and like they're really I'm very impressed with the quality of this deck for its size. My one note is, I mean, obviously it does have these horrible punch out sides that I complained about with the herbiary deck, but it's just so fun. It's just so fun. It's the tiniest tarot. My only other complaint about it is that, and this is not, you can't help it, like the deck is thicker than it is wide. And that's just because, you know, you can make a card really small, but you can only make a paper so thin before it's no longer a tarot card. You can't make a tarot deck on tissue paper. So that stays. I am going to put it back in my purse, and maybe I'll put it back on my keychain. I'll put it back on my keychain because now I have this little bag, and I will tie this bag shut with a nice little knot. But yeah, if you have any wind at all, it's a big no-no. All right, then there's this one, which is bigger than that one, but also a lot more practical than that one, and also just really cute. I'm sitting down hoping that you'll still be able to hear me really well and you won't be able to see the reflection of my white dress on the table. I love these card backs. I love these card backs. I think they're really beautiful and really fun. And I actually love these card designs. Like when you first look at them, you're like, oh, it's really simplistic. It's just an icon on each card. But yeah, it is just kind of just an icon, but it's actually an icon that communicates a lot. Like just about as much is communicated in any of these as in anything else. Like we have here, Taurus. Is Taurus the Hierophant? I guess so. And like the acorn and the lemniscate, and here with the Seven of Swords, like we have the rat, like that really communicates Seven of Swords. And then we have the Six of Wands with the crown, like that's the key image from the Six of Swords is the laurel wreath, the victory crown. And then we have the Tower, we have the Nine of Pentacles, like the crown, the Nine of Pentacles. I feel like this really, like for a deck that has been so simplified, they've kept like really what they had to keep. And I've seen other decks that are simplified, like for example, the Kawaii Tarot, which I do not feel does an adequate job of this. I feel like it gets too simplified and not enough is communicated in the final images. And this one I just think is really cool. And, you know, I mean, it's just fun, okay? It's just fun to have a little pocket tarot deck. Now, was it in my pocket? No, it was in its box in my drawer full of tarot decks. So I said that I was gonna put this one in a different purse. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep it. Now this one, I would carry around probably if it weren't in a tuck box. So I need to figure out a better system for it. Also, I kind of thought that it was gonna be like either bigger or smaller. It's actually kind of a nice size for reading. And it's just like really cool. I mean, look at it. Now, yeah, I don't know. It's just really cool, guys. It's really cool. 2 of Cups. What's this even called? Tarot del Dios de los Tres. I know what that means literally. I don't know what that means idiomatically. I just think it's really cool, okay? I was hoping that it was gonna be standard size and that I could use some of these cards in like a build your own tarot deck because I love tigers, I love owls. There's a lot of imagery in here. We love the snail. There's a lot of imagery in here that is stuff that I really resonate with, but it is smaller than tarot size. It's, I guess, Fournier size. I don't know if that size is named after this brand. I think that's quite possible. But anyhow, I think it's cool and I'm keeping it. The end. As previously stated, I am allowed to keep things just because I think they're cool. The goal of this is not to make myself sad. The goal of this is to clear out things that I actually don't love. I don't know if I need this box. I'm gonna move this to the Imaginarium and see if I can figure out a good way to repurpose any of this. Here we have some retro things, okay? I'm keeping both of these, spoiler alert. This one is like, maybe like the second or third tarot deck I ever owned. Second, probably. I owned this before I owned my original Rider-Waite. And I didn't read with it much. I didn't really, until I got my original Rider-Waite, I never really got the hang of tarot. So I spent a couple years kind of like trying to read tarot and not being very good at it. And so I developed this impression that this was not a very good deck because I hadn't really been able to learn by it. Well, years later, I went back to it. Of course, now I'm a housewife, so, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom now. But there was a period where I was pregnant, and so I guess I was a housewife. And I was a pretty good housewife then, too. I didn't have a baby to look after, except for the baby in my belly, which is different. It's a lot easier, actually, to care for the baby in your belly. I had a lot less energy, but I had a lot less that had to be done with that energy, so that was very cool. So I did a couple readings with this while I was pregnant, and I was like, oh, actually, this is actually a really cleverly designed deck. This actually is, like, the cards in this deck actually really are pretty Rider-Waite coded and pretty, like, well thought out. Like, it's not just a pretty aesthetic retro deck. It is actually pretty well thought out. And, I mean, I don't store it this way because I use it, right? But when it came... How fun is this? Like, it came like a recipe box. This is just like the pinnacle of good design. So the Housewife's Tarot title card, the Major Arcana instruction book, the Minor Arcana. Like, how fun is that? So well thought out, this design. So cool. She stays. And this is the Pulp Tarot. I traded for a couple cards from the Pulp Tarot. And I just was having trouble because there was like the person I was trading with was like, you know, limit X number of cards per person. And I just wanted all of them. I really was like, wow, these are all so good. I want all of these. I want this whole deck. And this just reminds me so much of like the Rose Parade and the 4th of July Parade that I was in a bunch of times when I was a kid. And I grew up in LA, so I would go see the Rose Parade a lot and like camp out there and stuff. And my mom is like super, super into vintage and like swing dancing and stuff. And she's had me design like a bunch of posters for like dance events that she's put on, like based on vintage movie posters and stuff. And so this really reminds me of my family, of just like LA and my mom and stuff. And I just think it's so cool. So this is the Pulp Tarot. I actually don't use it that much, but it is really it's just cool, okay? It's just cool, guys. Even KonMari says, you don't have to use something for it to bring you joy. If just looking at it or just touching it brings you joy, that's enough. And this does. I'm not a minimalist, but I am trying to be good here. All right, this is a big, tall stack for some reason. Let's divide it. That's much better. All right, I can tell you right now, this baby, she stays. This is my pride and joy, the crown jewel of my collection. A true original hoi polloi. And this was in the plastic when I got it, actually, or half of it was in the plastic. It was in like 2 halves, and like one of them was like torn open but not taken out, and then the other one was still totally in the plastic. I love the way the wings are done in this deck. Okay, now there is a deck that I want, that is, I forget what it's called. It's like the something baby or the baby something, and it's a recolor of the hoi polloi, which is so cool because I just think the line art of this hoi polloi is so cool. I think it's the coolest thing I've ever seen, pretty much. Okay, maybe not, but it's really cool. Look at that. Look at the water. Look at it. Look at the folds in the clothing. Like, have you ever seen anything so 70s? But the colors are actually like a little too 70s for me. Like, they're just a little nonsensical. I don't actually mind like the colors. I just feel like where the colors are doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, couldn't they at least be like coated by suit? And why are or maybe they are coated by suit, but why are the cups orange? Why are the cups orange? Why is the moon orange? Why, you know, I have a lot of questions about the color choices that were made, but I love it. And then that recolor deck that I was mentioning, that I forget what it's called, was sold out when I tried to buy it, and they were talking about like maybe doing a reprint someday. I don't know, we'll see. So that's on my radar too. So that's my hoi polloi. She stays. She is precious. I do use her. Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. This is just a really great, beautiful deck. Oh my God. The backs, I'm not sure there's ever been a better card back. There have been many other great card backs, but I don't know if there's ever been a better card back. It's so simple and so elegant and so my aesthetic. Blue with gold stars, and it's actually gold foil. It's just stunning, and it's the perfect blue. It's not too blue, it's not too saturated, it's not too dark. It's just stunning. And these are color coded by suit, and they're just beautiful. Really minimalist color, really gorgeous line art. Of course, it looks like I have like a bunch of my favorite cards right at the top. The Star, the Queen of Cups, and the Ace of Cups. I mean, just glorious, gorgeous, stunning, and super readable. Okay, it's very gorgeous, and it's super readable. There's nothing about this, like no symbolism was sacrificed in the making of this gorgeous art. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Fyodor Pavlov. I hope I'm saying your name right. This was one of those that like I stumbled upon a Pinterest image of like one of the majors from this deck like 5 or 6 years before it was actually a deck, and I was just so disappointed because I was like, I want this deck so bad, but there's only a few cards from it. And then a couple years later, I saw it on Kickstarter and I was like, oh my God, is that the one? And it was the one. And here she is. She stays. She's so elegant. She's just so elegant. Okay. This one is one that I've gone back and forth on because I don't know that I've ever read with it. I've maybe read with it like once or twice. But it's just historically interesting. There's never been another deck like this. And it's very cool. And I really like as a thinker, I really like the woman the artist who created this deck. Now I can't even remember her name. Laura Ziskan, I hope I'm saying that right. I get her newsletter and it's really great. Yeah, it's never been shuffled. And it is like weird, right? Like the faces, weird. But also, you know, like there's something unnerving about it. There's something uneasy about it. But it's not like it doesn't come off to me as like dark or demonic in the way that like the Zeke's Arcana or, you know, some other decks do. It's just a little uneasy. And I just think it's actually really cool. And I should challenge myself to use this. I'm not ready to part with it at this moment. So there's that. This is the Luminous Void Tarot is what it's called. You know, very minimalist guidebook. Rather minimalist deck, but just, it's beautiful. Oh, I like that. But I think this deck is not, it gives to me the energy of, like, it's not a deck that asks to be liked. It is not a deck that seeks to be liked. I do think it is a deck that seeks to be read, so I should do it the honor of reading with it. I'll challenge myself to do that. Moonchild Tarot. This one, I'm on record saying that this deck is one of my favorite decks of all time and has one of the top best guidebooks of all time. Also box design on point. Anyhow, it's just really, really gorgeous. Digital collage. I think it's really, really beautiful. And the deck is just, the guidebook is just on another level with how good it is. Like we've got the description, the keywords, questions to ask yourself, affirmations, a deeper interpretation and a reverse interpretation. And that's for a minor arcana card. Like, you're too good to us, Danielle Noel. Yeah, I guess the majors are the same way. It's the same way. It's just, She stays. Unfolding Path. I already said I'm going to part with this one. And this was one that I don't remember if I looked it up or not. Because I wanted to see what it went for. Because this is a Kickstarter edition. And I don't remember what it goes for right now. So if I can like get a fair bit of money for it, I will sell it. If it's not going for like all that much, I would rather pick out my favorite cards probably for my basket case, because there are some really great cards in here. And I do love the art as art. And I would love to have some of these in my basket case. But as like an overall deck, I have not really used, is it unshuffled? It's unshuffled. Oh my God, how embarrassing for me. Okay, let's, I'm on a time limit, but I'm gonna shuffle this deck. Look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Maybe I shouldn't split it. Maybe I should keep it. Maybe I should keep it. It's too beautiful, guys. We're gonna ask the cards. Does an ace outrank a 6? Is an ace a 1 or a trump? I feel like if the yes is the ace of pentacles and the no, but it wasn't really. They were jumpers. But they were in that order. One more time. Yes. Oh, yes is the Empress. Or no, the Tower. Usually I would do this by number. But if yes is the Ace of Pentacles and the Empress, and no is the Six of Wands and the Tower, I feel like we're getting yes. I don't know. Okay. I'm clearly supposed to explore this question further. I am sorry, my friends, my dear beloved audience. I am unable to make this decision at this time. I'm so sorry. I thought I came prepared. I thought I knew what I was doing. I'm going to do some research on this one and spend some time sitting down with it. And I will let you know in the edit what my decision was. So I looked into what I would be able to get for this used. And basically because I paid shipping from the UK, the used market for it is not strong right now. And I would be losing money on it. And I like enough of the cards that I'd rather, you know, keep some and get rid of some than sell the whole thing at a loss. So I was going through it and picking out like which ones did I like, and I realized like actually I really like a lot of them. Like there are a couple cards in this deck that do feel kind of lifeless to me, but there's a lot that are actually like really full of life and really beautiful and really communicative. And so I thought, okay, let's do the ultimate test of a deck. Let's do a Celtic Cross spread with no question and just see what it has to say to me. And it had a lot of things to say to me. And ultimately, I feel like I want to work with it a little more before I potentially break it up. So I am going to keep this one for now. You'll probably see it in some of my in at least one of my newsletter pick a card readings coming up, because I think that's going to be a good way to engage with it. And I'm going to use it for myself for a little while and see how I feel about it. And I may decide to part with it in the future. I may decide to break it up, but for now, I'm going to keep it and work with it and see how we work together. Also, how cool is this? The box is gorgeous. Ethereal Visions, she stays. We have 207 out of 1100. That's pretty good. I should be flipping through the deck for you guys to see more of it, but I don't know if it gets better than this Temperance card. This Temperance card is the queen of all Temperance cards. But, I mean, I'll show you some more. There's the cover art. You know, there's a lot of great things going on in here. This was a historical deck. I believe this was the first deck of its kind, and I believe this was the first deck to have gold foil stamping that was different on every card. And that's why it had to be kickstarted, and it was very difficult to do because you had to find somebody who could do that. And then of course US Games picked it up, and now you can get it very cheaply, and they do it. So this sure cost a hell of a lot more than you can get this in a much prettier box now for much less. But, you know, it's nice to know that I was part of making it happen. And I love everything else he's ever done. I don't own everything else he's ever done, but all of his art is gorgeous. Aquarian Tarot. This one, I love it. I don't use it as often as I could, probably because I'm like afraid to handle this tuck box because it's falling apart. So I should get it a better container. It's very 70s. Is it 70s? It feels very 70s. I hope I'm not like wrong about that. Is there a book? There probably was a book. I probably tossed it. Like I say that you're allowed to toss guidebooks. It probably wasn't very good. Anyhow, I think the deck is gorgeous. I do use this one. It is a rather new addition to my collection, but I think I have used it about as much as anything else that is that new to my collection, and I quite like it. And again, I think it is like historically important as a tarot deck, and also just very interesting and very beautiful. I love the lettering. Like the lettering is part of the design on the majors, and it's not like the same on every major, and I think that's really cool. Here's the Empress. Judgment. The Fool one is really good. The Moon, that's really good. Classic. Classic Aquarian Tarot. She stays. She deserves a better box. Guys, I have to turn off the air conditioning to film this, and I'm so sorry that I didn't do that for the first half of the video. I deeply apologize. I meant to, and I didn't. But this time I was good, and I was thinking about you guys and your ears, and so I turned off the AC. But I am suffering for it, and I want you to know that. I am suffering. It is Texas. It is summer, and the AC should be always in the on position, if you know anything about summer in Texas. not only for the heat, but also for the humidity. The Wild Unknown Tarot stays. I don't reach for this all the time. There's like a very specific mood, a very specific type of reading that I use this for. And also I use this every time almost that I read for one of my friends. And that's just how it be. Like when I say different decks have different personalities, this is the deck that I'm thinking of. Like there's other decks in my collection that applies to, but the Wild Unknown is the one I'm thinking of. I'm not going to open it and show it to you guys. You know what the Wild Unknown looks like. Everyone knows what the Wild Unknown looks like, right? If you don't, look it up. All right, here we are in a Rider-Waite themed pile. So we have a Rider-Waite clone. This is the Tarot of the New Vision. And this bag is very special to me. And this deck lives in this bag of honor because this used to be one of my most used working decks. However, I've probably not used it in somewhere between like 7 to 10 years. It's the Rider-Waite, but from the other way. So like if you turn the Rider-Waite cards on the axis of the subject 180 degrees and you view it from the other side, that's what these are intended to be. So some of them, it's just a new perspective on the same thing, but a lot of them, you get new information. I think the kings and queens are really cool because you get the back of the throne, which has really interesting carvings on it that tell you stuff. And like this one, there's like people behind it. So, I don't know, but I haven't used it in such a long time. And so I feel like I maybe should sell it. So this is going to go in the probably sell pile, but I don't want you to get mad at me if I go back on that and decide not to, because I'm getting really sentimental as I'm looking through it. I'm probably getting rid of this, but I'm not getting rid of this bag. Okay, now this is technically my most used deck. It is like my go-to deck. And that may be confusing because there's 2 decks in here. So what's going on here is that we have my original Rider-Waite, which was my go-to deck for years and years and years. This was really the deck that I learned on. I had other decks before I had this deck, but this is the deck that I feel like made me a tarot reader. And this was like anytime, even as my collection grew and grew and grew, if I ever had like a really serious question, pretty consistently, almost every time, it was this one. This is the deck that I read for when I met my husband over a tarot reading, or read with. A couple of years ago, I got the Pamela Coleman Smith Centennial Edition deck. That is this one. It's a reproduction of a different printing of the Rider-Waite, and the coloring is a little different. It's a little more muted. It is like a different set of like printing plates, so the line work is a little different. There's just really subtle differences in it. And I like the coloring better, and I like the vibes better. So this has become my new go-to Rider-Waite for the most part, but I cannot, like, while my original Rider-Waite, and that's what I call it, that is the name of the edition, the original Rider-Waite Tarot is what this one is called. And this one is the Centennial, Pamela Coleman Smith, Centennial, whatever. While this one has been like demoted from regular use or retired, let's say retired from regular use, I cannot kick it out of its home in the box. So it and all of the energy from all of the readings that it has done for me and mine over the years still lives in this box with its replacement. So they live together. This still has a place of honor, and even though I don't read with it anymore, I will never willingly part with it. The end. Okay. That's like the most magical thing that you're gonna see this whole video. And here we have another Rider-Waite that I use this one a lot too. I got this one around the same time that I got the Pamela Coleman Smith Centennial. I'm just a little bit obsessed with the Rider-Waite. Okay, I'm a little obsessed with the Rider-Waite, and that's okay. I'm not ashamed of that. So this one is called Pam's Vintage Tarot. It is borderless. It is antiqued, digitally antiqued, and it is from yet another printing of the Rider-Waite. So like the way that these guys get around copyright is that the actual deck, the Rider-Waite, is out of copyright, but the scans of the deck belong to whoever took the scans. So US Games took the scans for, you know, a couple of them. And this Pam's Vintage Tarot, and she has a bunch of other ones as well. They're all print on demand as well. Are from a different set of scans from a deck in a private collection. So that's what this one is. None of the cards are labeled, which I kind of like. It feels a little more like mystical in that way. So that's that. That's Pam's Vintage Tarot. She stays. And isn't this bag cool? Someone gave me this bag. It was like a Secret Santa gift, and the deck that they gave me, I like absolutely did not resonate with, and I got rid of it immediately. But the bag I loved so much, so I kept the bag. Okay. This is another deck that I've never read with. I don't know if I will ever read with it. It's so horribly impractical, but it's so historically cool. It's so cool. Guys, we live in an age of cool stuff being done with tarot. And stuff like this has never been done with tarot before, okay? There is a lenticular tarot that is older than this, but it is majors only. Majors only, my friends. And I love the majors, but a majors only deck is not a tarot deck, if you ask me, okay? I think the distinction must be drawn. This is the Fable Makers Animated Tarot. This is by Hit Point Press, who mostly does D&D stuff. And my God, it's just like, okay, being honest, if you showed me like any one frame of any of these cards, I would not buy this deck. The art style is not my favorite art style. I don't know even necessarily that the drawings are particularly evocative, but this is so fucking cool, okay? I'm probably out of fuck words for this video, but I'm just gonna show you a couple more, okay? Just a couple more. How friggin' cool is this? How friggin' cool is this? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. I'm done freaking out. I am gonna have to use this at some point because it's just so cool. And maybe now that I'm devoting more energy to YouTube and my blog and stuff, that'll give me excuses to use more of my like fun decks that I otherwise don't use a ton. Okay, if we're talking about lenticular decks, we got to talk about these three. Spoiler alert, I can tell you right now, these three are all staying in my collection. We have the Prisma Visions Tarot. Ooh, with a cool extra card, I guess. The Prisma Visions Tarot is very, very cool. You can look it up if you want to know more about it. All the cards like flow together, and it's just such a cool art style. I wanted this deck for so long. It was on my wish list for so long, but I just never like got around to getting it. And then James R. Eads did the Cosmovisions Oracle, which is like the otherworld counterpart to the tarot. It is technically an oracle, but it's structured like a tarot, so I have put it with the tarot decks. That's why I didn't go over it with the oracles before. So like 12 Sacrifice is the mirror to 12 Hanged Man, and the Crow is the mirror to the Magician. The 6 of Embers is the mirror to the 6 of Wands, and they do kind of like go together. And that's all I will say about that. Okay, so that's also very, 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 very cool. I have used and do use both of these decks. I have not actually used, other than I think like a brief interview, and I'm not even sure if I did that, this deck. But this deck is the lenticular combination of the Prisma Visions and the Cosmovisions. We have the Prismavisions High Priestess and the Cosmovisions Swan. The Prismavisions Knight of Pentacles and the Cosmovisions Entertainer. And it's just, I mean, what a cool fucking concept, right? Now this one, like I was saying about the Fable Makers, that like if you showed me any one frame of that deck, would I have bought it based on like the unmoving frame? Probably not. Now this one, would I have bought these based on the individual frames? I did, actually. I bought both of these. And then he did this one, and I bought this one too. So I just think this is so cool. I actually did film an unboxing of this, and then it turned out that because I wasn't like right now I'm standing up, and so I can look at my camera to see and make sure that you're seeing these properly. That one I was like sitting down and I just kind of like did it all and hoped that you could see it. And when I looked at it later, it turned out that you really could not, like you were not getting good solid frames of the cards. And I was just like, fuck it. And I deleted the footage. So that's why I've never seen that before. These stay. All right, we're gonna go super fast. Chromatic Fates Tarot. This one I'm going to split up. I'm gonna put a bunch of it in my basket case, and I'm gonna get rid of the rest of it, probably. I should probably check and see what this goes for. This is one of those ones, it's like a bunch of different artists did it, and like if you lay it all out in order, it makes like a cool color gradient. And like some of them, like this one, I just absolutely love the art style. But then some of them, I don't really. It's not really my thing. Like the whole little like cutesy kids thing, like animation style is not really my thing. This, my thing. This, very cool. Also, these are very hard to read. Like the titles on these cards are so tiny. But the gold foil on each card being individual is very cool. The paper stock is great. There's a lot about this that is great, but as a whole deck, I've never used it and I don't really see myself using it. But some of the cards I would really, really love. So if it's being sold for just like a ridiculous amount of money, I might convince myself to just sell it. Otherwise, I'm going to basket case it and split it up and buck a card or mystery envelope the rest of the cards in the alley. So that'll go in my basket case. The Alley Man. This one, if I really wanted to be good to it and let it really truly live its best life, I would break it up and basket case it. However, it just feels like a piece of history. However, and so I kind of want to keep it intact, but also I know that the person who made it would want me to break it up and use it and not keep it unused and intact like this. So I think I'm going to put this box in my basket case and try to convince myself to basket case it and split it up and stuff. And if I can't convince myself to do that yet, it's okay. I have read with it, but the truth is I get better readings from my basket case because that's kind of the whole point. My basket case is very Alleyman's Tarot inspired. That's kind of what started the whole basket case thing. And you can learn more about that in my basket case video, which I will link down below. So that's going in the basket case, and I'll see if I can convince myself to break it up. Because I do think that that's what I should do. I think that's what Seven would want. The Mushroom Hunters Tarot. This one, I don't really use it. I don't really find it that readable. But I just find it so cool. And it is actually kind of educational. Like, if you, like, every mushroom is a real mushroom, and you can read about it, and, like, they kind of make it make sense why each one is what it is. And I just think the colors are so vivid and beautiful. I love the color scheme. I love the line work. I love the style. I love that it's mushrooms. You can't make me get rid of it. I was I'm keeping it right now just because it's cool, but I also have a secret hope that I will like teach myself to read better with it someday and maybe even use it to learn more about mushrooms. That would be cool. Okay. The Night Goddess, Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. I do use this one. I've even put it in some blog posts recently. I'll just show it to you really, really quick. It's gorgeous. It's stunning. It's great. I love it. I actually got 2 of these and I did break one up and basket case it. But I have actually used the one that I kept intact. And Zero regrets about that. Love it. Okay, Mystic Fairy. This one is old in my collection. I love her. And I have a connection with this one, and so I can't part with this one. But I kind of wish that I could, because if I could, I would totally have bought myself to keep the newer version of it that is borderless. I much prefer the borderless design. But this is the one that I have, and this is the one that I have connected with, and I keep it. The Tarot of Aphrodite. I have actually read with this one a fair bit since I got it not that long ago. And I use this one mostly to communicate with Venus, but I have used it for like other things. But I think when I've used it for other things, it might also still be communicating with Venus. So there's that. And I work with Venus a lot. Not as much right now as I did like a year or two ago. I think I just do a lot less like magic-y stuff, magic and spiritual stuff in general since becoming a mom, just because there is actually less time to slow down. And I forgive myself for that. This one is for very particular needs. I don't use it very much, but sometimes I dabble with the idea of becoming a Christian witch. I don't dabble deeply enough to have actually done it or committed to it. I do hold a lot of Christian ideals, but I just can't let go of the divine feminine, and I can't let go of being a witch, and I can't let go of the fact that I have had other true experiences with other deities that have been like legitimately wholesome and very good for me and for like the people around me as well. And I can't deny that. And also I greatly esteem a lot of Christian values. Not necessarily like the way that it's practiced by a lot of modern Christians, but I think that the way that it was like truly intended by Jesus to be practiced is actually pretty good. So this is the, I don't know what it's called, Mother Mary Tarot. I don't know what it's called. Sorry, guys. It's all photographs of little mini altars or shrines that the creator made. And oh my God, when she sent it to me, she sent me like one extra card that was signed, and it was the Queen of Roses. The pentacles are roses, and it was the Queen of Roses. And I was like, something here is meant to be. So this is, while I do not use it a lot, it is very sacred to me. And I think I would say that it is because I revere it that I do not use it a lot. I don't feel like it should just be used willy-nilly, and I don't really turn to Mary all that often. But, sometimes I do. Sometimes I gotta have a conversation, and that's what this is for. And so she stays. And once again, I think it's just like historically cool. Now this one hurts. When I talk about how like some decks are just so stunningly gorgeous, and yet I've never been able to get one single good reading with them, this one applies. And I thought that like maybe it was because I hated the huge borders, so I trimmed it. Even though the box is signed, I still trimmed it because I was like, it's gorgeous. I'm going to want to keep it, and it's going to be mine. And it's okay to trim something that's going to be mine because I'm not like trying to resell it. And now I'm like, I've still never had a good reading with it. Even though I like the size better and the backs look fine, to get the backs to look right in the trim, I had to cut off like the very bottom of the titles. So they're still readable, but it just looks a little off. The artwork is just so stunningly gorgeous. Each suit is like a love story, a famous historical legendary love story. And I just think that the theme of this is so cool. And another thing that's funny is that I used to have the book that went with this that I just got in like a bulk Facebook Marketplace witchy book buy. And then I was like, oh, this is a book that goes with a tarot deck that I don't have, so I'll get rid of the book. And then later I ended up with this tarot deck, and now of course I don't have the book anymore. and I just don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. And I'm gonna put it in the get rid of pile. But I'm gonna put it with the unfolding path. The one where it's like, I feel like I should get rid of it, but it's so beautiful. I just really want to give it another chance. I'm gonna give it another chance. I'm not gonna just put it back into the collection without thinking about it. I'm gonna put it somewhere where I'm really gonna sit with it and make a decision. And by the time I'm done editing this video, I'll let you know what decision I made. Okay, I told you that I would make a decision, and I have made half of a decision. Here's my thought process. I'm not attached to having a signed copy of this deck. I am kind of attached to the beauty of the deck. I don't feel like I can sell this as a signed copy because I've trimmed it. However, it's the box that's signed. There's nothing special or different about the cards in the box versus any other set of the same cards. And just the cards can actually be bought very cheaply. So I was thinking maybe buy a different set of the cards, switch them out, and then resell it as a signed copy, being forthcoming about the fact that I replaced the cards because I trimmed them, but the signed part is the box anyway, and they're the same edition. So I was thinking about doing that anyway, and then keeping the trimmed ones either to use in my journal or split up for the basket case or to give another chance to read with, especially because I have started working with Venus since my relationship with Venus started after my last time reading with this deck. Part 2 of the thought process is that as much as I would love to read with this deck, reading with it kind of depends on you knowing the myths and legends and stories that are referenced and portrayed in the art of the deck. And as educated and cultured as I love to believe that I am, I don't know all of these stories. Can I tell you the love story of Tristan and Isolde? Not off the top of my head, no. So if you don't know those things, you kind of have to have the full-size version of the guidebook. Yes, the very same guidebook that I once had a used copy of in my possession and sold because I didn't own the deck, and why would anyone want to have a guidebook to a deck they don't have? So I thought, maybe I'll hunt down that book. Well, it turns out it's very difficult to find a good, reasonably priced copy of that book. You can get the ebook for $8, but I'm just not an ebook girly, okay? I like my physical things, she says while trying to declutter. And spoiler alert, I have betrayed the declutter, okay? Sorry, not sorry. So I figured if I'm going to give this another chance, I need the big guidebook. And I'm actually interested in knowing these stories and in knowing how they relate to the cards. And I really would love to be able to make this deck work for me. And I need another copy of the cards. And so I bought on eBay I forget what it's called, but it's a special edition of the deck where I believe the cards are the same. It even looks like it comes in a tuck box, but the whole thing comes packaged in a bigger box that has the full-size guidebook, the 160-something page guidebook, not the little 32-page little white book, none of that. And a scroll of something for some reason. I don't know, it comes with some other stuff. So I paid $50 for that on eBay, which is about what they consistently go for. And my thoughts are, that's old, that was for sure a used resale value, and there are a number of those being sold for about that price. So if I need to resell it, I can resell it for about that price and basically only lose shipping. And hopefully I can make back what I spent on it by selling the signed box with the uncut cards. And that's my half-formed plan. And that's as much of a decision as I have made right now. Thank you for listening. And I know they say we listen and we don't judge, but if you're judging, I forgive you. Okay, here's where it gets really embarrassing. This one I split. There's only a few cards left here. And this needs to get traded in the alley. So that goes bye-bye. This, it's new in the plastic. I want to keep it. And this is the same, by the way, actually. Oh, actually, this one is, I think this one is not split. I think I ended up keeping this one whole. I thought I was going to split it. And then I was like, actually, it's so good on its own. So I think I'll check if this one is whole. I'm going to keep this one and sell this one. If this one is not whole, I will trade this one or buck a card it or mystery envelope it or whatever and keep this one because I do quite like it. And this one, Harry Potter is just such a big part of our family culture. Here, let me get you the open one so you can see our family culture. My culture, okay? And our family culture. It's true. There's reasons I could go into it, but I won't right now. And the paper is gorgeous. Paper stock is gorgeous. And so I feel like these decks would actually be like really good decks to like teach my kids on or gift to my kids at some point. And I know that that's like kind of silly and like looking way far into the future, but that's where I am right now. So I'll put these in the I'm not sure pile because I got to figure that out. And then this one, it stays. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Impressionist Tarot. It stays, okay? Here, just look at it. This is the moon card. I'm not going to get it out of here. It stays. It's so good. And it also has some of my favorite crystals in here. Look at that. The light is really... We're struggling, guys. The light is fading. The light is fading fast. We only have 2 more. We're at the end, okay? This one. I don't read with this deck. However... It was my first tarot deck. It was a gift from my mother. It was my mother acknowledging to me that it was okay for me to be into some witchy things and to learn to read tarot as long as it was for her Halloween party and I was going to read tarot for free for all of the guests at her Halloween party. And, you know, that was enough for me. That was enough for me to get my foot in the door. And so we picked this one out because it was very Halloween appropriate. And I never use it because, 1, the cards are friggin' huge. But 2, it is pip minors, okay? So for the 10 of pens, we've got 10 pens. You know, for the 5 of pistols, we've got 5 pistols. Also, like, what? Pens, pistols? Okay, fine. Air, fire, swords, wands. I get it. There is a lot... cool. There is a lot about this deck that is cool. One thing I do like about it, all of the people in it are skeletons except for Death, who is a live woman who I believe is pregnant also. So there's just a lot. There is a lot about this deck to be cherished. I don't use it. I keep it in this cherished box. It lives at the very top of my tarot shelf, pretty much out of reach, because it is my first deck and it was a gift from my mother. And that is a good enough reason for me to keep it. And finally, we have the Dragon Tarot. This copy is out of, or this like style of it is out of print. However, it now comes in like a much nicer, more convenient version. I'm not sure if the paper stock is better now. Anyhow, I have almost never read with this. I've read with this like twice. I think the art is really beautiful. I think the borders are way too big. And it also is not fully illustrated pips, but it is aesthetic enough and like aligned enough with my aesthetic that I can kind of forgive it for that. And also I've just gotten better at reading cards since than I was when I got this. So like now if you show me 9 cups, like I know what to do with that. I still prefer to have the scene, but I still know what to do with 9 cups. So I was looking up, because it's out of print, like how much does it go for? And basically the answer is not that much. So I think I'm going to trim it. I'm going to trim it and see if I like it better with narrower borders. And if I would actually use it with narrower borders. And I'm going to not keep it in this huge friggin' box. And see if I use it more that way. And then if I don't, I can still sell it later and just be like, it's trimmed. And it won't sell for a lot, but it wouldn't have sold for a lot anyway. All right, guys, that's it. I'm not showing you my face. It's a week later. I don't look good, okay? I looked good for the intro because it was the intro. I had to be on camera. I don't look good anymore, so you can't see me. Thank you for watching this. All in all, I've decluttered. There's about 20 decks that I'm getting rid of or decluttering or like condensing into a different space for sure. So I consider this a success. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was inspiring for you to maybe go through your own collection and see what you can part with. Or maybe you saw something that you decided that you need and now you're adding to your collection. Sorry. I didn't mean it. Except actually if I said great things about a deck, I did mean it. So there's that. But I just want to quote again from my video about like the 16 tarot truths or whatever the video is currently titled, that like it's okay to have a bunch of decks if you want to have a bunch of decks. However, don't live under the delusion that you need a bunch of decks to be able to get good readings. I think what I said that I love is that at a certain point, you're not collecting decks because it's going to make you a better reader. You're collecting decks because you want to have a collection. And that's where we are. Thanks for being here, guys. Love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.